we're going to make a delicious green mango salad that utilises some of the unripened mangoes that you might get in supermarkets, and it's a really good recipe to talk about knife skills, how to julienne, and the importance of great knives. And these knives here that MasterChef are making are fantastic because there's a huge range and there's a repertoire there for everything you need in your kitchen, from julienning to filleting fish or meat or prepping vegetables. It's a fantastic product to have in your house. Honing steels are a really useful implement to maintain your knives on a daily basis. I always use one before I start cooking, and often I'll use it multiple times a day. We're going to balance the flavour of the sour, unripened mango with lovely sweetness from honey, a bit of savoury notes from our soy sauce, and there's going to be lots of crunch from some lovely British veg and some peanuts dusted on top for that extra bit of texture. So let's start with our carrots. Get them peeled. Right, so we're going to start with julienning the carrots. Firstly, lop off the top, and you want to get about 2-inch length to begin. A really important aspect of julienning is having a base that's flat, otherwise your carrot's just going to move around. So go straight down, let the knife do all the work. We won't waste this bit, we'll cut that later. And then you want to get it into strips. Because the knife is so lovely and sharp, I can just let it do the work and you get lovely even strips, just like that. Once you've got a pile like that, you can just stack them together or staggered, just like so, and do the same the other way. And then you're left with these really uniform matchsticks that are a perfect julienne. If you think a stack's too high and you're going to struggle with it, what you can do is stagger them along your board, and then your knife can just work along it whilst having a bit of stability at the front, like this. So as you can see, we've got this beautiful lot of carrots that are now all uniform and all the same kind of width all the way through, and it's going to add a lovely crunch to our salad. Now we're going to julienne the pepper. It's fairly similar to the carrot in that we want to have a fairly flat surface that we can work with easily and then let the knife do the work. There are 100 ways to cut peppers, but this is how I like to do it. As long as you have a sharp knife, you can go straight through the skin. So just go down until you get to the corner and then turn with the pepper. And once it's pretty much parallel to the board, you're getting rid of all that rubbish white flesh that you don't want to. Don't waste the bottom of it because you can still cut that into a julienne. There's no waste here, we just get rid of the stuff that we don't like. Clean up any bits that you don't want, so this white flesh isn't going to be very nice in a salad, so I'll get rid of that. I'm going to cut it into two, pile them up together, and then just let my knife do the work and glide along it basically. And look at that. Easy as that. Add that to the salad. So now we're going to cut the spring onions. Now, a lot of people will cut spring onions in little discs, which I do as well for certain dishes. But with this dish, we want the textures in the mouth to be all very similar. So the carrot, the pepper, the mango and spring onion are all going to be in strips. And then it all seems a lot more married together in that way. I've cut them all into equal widths, and now we just spin them around and we can julienne them just like we've been julienning everything else. So this is a good place to show you how to cut and save your fingers. A little claw is really helpful because it means that the knife can rock along your knuckle without chopping your fingers. So you just want to get thin strips because you then want to julienne these to be in the same kind of shape as everything else we've cut so far today. And then at some point you'll get to the tip, but you just turn it around and get cracking with the other side. So stack them up and cut them just like we did with the carrots. And you're aiming for everything to be quite similar. Now we're going to chop the chilli. We're going to do this in circles for a garnish, and one of the reasons is the chilli looks quite similar to the pepper, so you don't want people who want to avoid spice to be picking up the chilli by accident, but we can just cut it in circles and there'll be a nice garnish on top. Now we need to move on to the dressing for this dish, and that's where all the flavour comes. So this sauce is going to be balancing a lot of flavours. So we're going to have honey that's going to bring a bit of sweetness. We're going to get light soy sauce and fish sauce that's going to bring lots of savoury notes. The lime's going to cut through that kind of savoury flavour with a bit of sharp acid, and then we're just going to grate a bit of garlic in there for a bit more flavour too. A decent whack of honey. You don't want too much fish sauce because it is quite a pungent flavour. I normally go for about a teaspoon. The soy sauce is really important because that's actually a lot of where the seasoning is coming from. If you get this right, you don't actually need to put much salt in it at all, or any. So I'll go for a couple of tablespoons. We're going to go for the zest as well as the juice of the lime. If you zest it like this, it prevents you from taking too much of the bitter white part of the peel. We'll go with the juice as well as the zest. Half a clove of garlic's fine. Any more and it starts to overpower the dish. Give everything a good mix. So we've got all of our veg lovely chopped up, the sauce is ready to go, we've got our garnish, so now it's just a case of getting everything together. Pour that lovely dressing all over the veg. Put about half of the chopped peanuts in, and then give everything a good toss. Don't spill any of it though. You can do this with some tongs as well. Just get everything married together, all coated in that lovely dressing. Look at those lovely vibrant colours. And to finish it off, we're going to top it with some lovely crunchy peanuts, and just to add a bit of spice, some red chillies. Finish with a little bit of coriander for a bit of freshness, and we're done.